All right, Nucc, we're back. Extended holiday break. We got caught in the middle of a few things there, lost track of time. I'm sure the listeners were a little worried about our mental health, our health in general. Just a few extra things right there. So I guess I'll start it off. Extended holiday break for Tyler Antonucci. How was it? How we doing as we get into the meat of 2024 here?
Yeah, obviously good time away from the rink, from hockey. Good debrief, but always watching hockey. So couldn't get too far away from it. But holidays were good. Couldn't complain. Lots of time with family. Trying to think of some, it's a while ago, but trying to think of some key things. I skated in an alumni game for Bergen Catholic. First time,
How did that go?
first time actually playing hockey since probably Brooklyn summer, I would say. I don't know when the last time I played in a game was. Dude, 4 shifts in, I couldn't breathe. I was nervous I was gonna puke. I didn't even eat before, I don't think.
Were you
But I was
nervous or you just didn't eat to just not eat? Or were you like
no,
a
because I
nervous?
knew I knew if I ate it was bad news. But it was the first time I ever played in a game with my brother. We were D partners, so that's kind of the main reason I played.
It's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, so had to do that, but we got dummied, man. Like, and competitive edge came out a little bit. I did go bar down, weird brag Wednesday, but that was the only goal I think our team scored. I think we lost like 7-1. But
So what was the format of it? Was it alumni versus alumni, or was it like
yeah,
alumni versus current team?
no, it was alumni versus alumni. Me, my brother, and a couple of his friends, probably like all equal skill level. Same with the other team, but then they had Matt Radoslavich from BU, played with Ryan Whitney there, and he still got it, man. Yeah,
They all still have it. So it don't matter how long you've been out of the game for.
we couldn't get out of our D zone when he was on the ice.
Yeah, they all still have it.
Not fun, but that was good. Um, New Year's, nothing crazy. I don't like the overrated holiday. Can't stand it. Don't know how you feel about that, but other than that, I was home for a really long time. Left Hoboken, got back to the suburbs, and just chilled on my mom's couch. I took off of work for like 10 days.
That's nice. Sometimes you need that in life.
Yeah,
Get
what'd you
out of
get
the
up to?
hustle and bustle of Hoboken and just really relax and regroup a
Did I
little bit.
did I see you too over at all?
I don't think so. I don't think I've seen you in a little while. I mean, I've seen you
Last time was the Packers game.
on the phone. Yeah, them. Yeah, how about that? So me, extended holiday break for the kid. Long, like you said, really nice to get away from the rink when like hockey was over for 2 weeks and
Yeah,
we went through the holidays. And I think I came into the rink for a total of like 4 hours over 2 weeks. So that was nice. Get away from it, relax, forget about hockey for a little while. Um, Obviously, watching, paying attention. We had World Jays over break, which we'll get into a little bit. Um, a few other things, the NHL, obviously, but whole lot of nothing. Like you said, New Year's, agree. Overrated holiday. We did all get together, a bunch of friends. Um, we did get together and get a house out in the Poconos, but very casual, nothing crazy. You know, like you said, I do agree. Very overrated holiday, nothing special about it. People want to go out. I don't know. We sat around and watched football because the Packers and Vikings played that night. So that was
good
speaking of
bragging
that,
rights.
going back to like episode 2, that was the first time me and Devin have watched a Packers Vikings game together in quite some time, and that one worked out pretty well for the
Nice.
guys in green and gold. So that was a good time.
Oh,
Back to the grind now. Yeah,
yeah. Remember back to the Vikings too. Remember when I did they make the playoffs? Did they win any of their last games
don't
that
believe so. No,
oh, I was just wondering. I thought I could have sworn that it was like a guarantee that they were going to win at least 2 or 3 of their remaining games. And shout out the Milkman. You got that one right on the head.
hit the nose right on the head on that one. Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think they won any of those actually. So
Nice.
tough look for the Minnesota Vikings, but they'll blame the quarterback not being there. So
Hmm.
it is what it is. Not all teams know how to develop quarterbacks the correct way,
Right,
like the
right,
Green
right.
Bay Packers do. So It's let's get into some hockey talk though. Mentioned it a little bit right there a couple seconds ago. World Jays. What were our thoughts? Obviously, the U.S. comes out on top, gold medal. Probably the best collection of 19-year-olds wins the tournament, usually year in and year out. And I think the U.S. had that kind of going away. So thoughts on the U.S. World Junior Championship?
Yeah, I'm not gonna think about it too much. I got some quick hitters off the top of my head. The BC line is unbelievable. The fact that they might actually get to come back and play in that tournament again is absurd to me. They're fantastic. Obviously, chemistry was probably a leading factor to push them over a little bit, but just the three of them were awesome. I got to give a tri-state area shout out as well. I thought Drew Fortescue was unbelievable from top to bottom. Just probably
Yeah.
the most solid, sound, consistent defenseman that they had. Obviously, Lane, Avs fam, incredible. But we knew that. I think Drew was a little bit more like, this is my time. I'm on the map now. And, he's a Ranger too. So I got to hype him up a little bit more. Nice draft pick we got. So was Gabe. But I think the forwards were very good, just like so consistent, and all of them could do everything. It wasn't like, oh, this line can't, grind. But I don't know. I think it was a really good put together team. Obviously, based on the fact that they won, but just every game it looked like they were ready to play, which was awesome to watch, and I had a lot of fun watching it.
Yeah, I mean they were impressive, right? Like I said before, it's usually the World Juniors. I heard a lot of people talk about it on podcasts and stuff throughout the break and everything. It's
Mm-hmm.
usually the best collection of 19-year-olds that win the tournament, and I think especially into the final, right? You have Sweden and the U.S. probably the two best teams going into it with the collection of 19-year-olds that they both had. Um, the U.S. team, man, fun to watch. Like that decor. I mean, you speak about the Ranger guys, right? How can I not mention Seamus Casey, New Jersey Devils draft pick?
Yeah, I thought you were gonna do that, so I just let you take that one.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that because I mean that kid's something special. That kid gives the Devils even more depth on the back end. Another young piece to possibly add in there with Luke Hughes and Simone Nemec is pretty impressive. The kid was not as good as I think Lane Hudson is above and beyond the best. But like the Seamus Casey kid, like the deception he has in his game, the ability to see the ice the way he does is got to be pretty close to second to none behind Lane. And
Mm-hmm.
what I like about them the best too is like, yeah, they have a ton of skill, that team, but then they have guys like Isaac Howard,
Oh,
like
he was
power
so good.
forward types, right? Like power forward types, like Jimmy Snuggerud, like super skill, but like kind of a power forward a little bit, right? Standing at 6'2", like they're an
They were
impressive hockey team, dude.
they were mean. They were gritty. I mean, their captain led by example. That guy is an absolute unit, Rutger McGorty. Did you see the
Yeah,
clip
he's
of
thick,
him?
dude.
Did you see the clip of him get high sticked and on the bench he tried to cut himself with his fingernail?
No, I did not see that, but
That just
that's like
describes him
absolute nail gun.
perfectly. He wanted a 4 minutes, so he was trying to pick his face to start bleeding. It was incredible.
That's a good
But
leader, man. Leaders lead from the front. That's a
right,
great
but
leader.
that's just how that's just how they were. They had swagger, and leading into swagger, I got to ask the question. Even though you're from the United States, as a hockey advocate, were you for or against the celebrations, the blowing kisses? Was a little bit too much, or were you totally okay with it against Sweden in the gold medal game?
I'm okay with stuff like that. Like, I think
We're
enjoy it,
getting
have fun, make a mockery of it. Like,
we're
we're the
getting too
best, and like,
soft.
oh yeah, in general,
Uh,
that people are like upset about that.
yeah,
100%, dude. Are you
it's
kidding
in
me? I think
Sweden.
I'm all in on that.
What do you expect them to do?
What
Just
do you
tap
think
their
fans are
sticks on the
saying to
boards?
them?
Hey, here we go, boys.
Good job, guys. Like, what do you think fans are saying to them? Like, they should be allowed to do whatever, especially if they go out and win a game 6-2 like that in a final. Like,
Right.
come on.
Remember when
Um,
Artem Anisimov went down on one knee and shot the goalie in the NHL with his stick turned over? That's an
yeah, I need more of
egregious
that in my life. No, I
that's an
need more of that in my
egregious
life.
celebration. He's
No, I
playing
think
again.
enjoy it. I saw that, dude. Is he back with the Hartford Wolfpack?
Yeah, I think he's like
It's incredible.
48.
They should get like Ryan Callahan back, get all the boys back.
They said that the other day.
Did
Callahan
they
and
really?
Brian Boyle were on Twitter or like MSG in 60 or something talking about joining Artem Anisimov in the AHL for a couple games, getting the band back together.
Yeah, I'm in on that. Let's just have some fun down in the American League. Make a few extra bucks and just have some fun.
Good stuff.
Um, Back to the World Jays, though. Obviously, goalie guy. You can't. Trey Augustine, Michigan State product. Like, that kid's impressive in net. And then obviously the Fowler kid backing him up. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
two legit bona fide number one goalies.
Yeah.
You could pretty much pick who's going to play when. I think obviously Augustine had the better tournament and played the bigger games down the stretch. I know Fowler got the game against Latvia there in the quarterfinals, but Augustine, heck of a performance. I think he's going to be a lot of fun to watch as a Detroit Red Wings prospect coming out right there. Detroit sneaky got a few pretty good goaltending prospects coming through the pipeline right now.
Yeah, but they got the
So,
most
and
underrated goalie in the NHL.
Alex Lyon, right?
Phenomenal.
So
Think,
another great tournament by their goaltending there.
yeah, he's Trey Augustine's ability, like Dave Starman was talking about on the broadcast, like it's almost like he just flicked a switch some games and was like, I'm not getting scored on again, and he just
Yeah,
calmed the whole team down. It was he's so good, but you know he's gonna obviously be a very good goaltender, and you know that more than I do.
yeah, and I think we'd be remiss if we don't talk about it while we're talking about the World Jays team.
Mm-hmm.
Probably their best power forward, pure goal scorer, Cutter Gauthier. Let me ask you a question. What is your thoughts on projection wise for Cutter Gauthier as he gets to the NHL?
Like where he fits in a lineup,
Is he gonna
or like
is what he does now going to be able to translate well to the National Hockey League?
no,
Why?
I don't think so because everyone does what he does. I think he's just gonna not so much like the grinding, and he's gonna be a role player. Like I feel like he's gonna be one of those 50, 60, probably like 40, 50 point guys. Like, is he better than Adam Fantilli? Like Adam Fantilli's very good. And I think Fantilli's just a step up than Cutter Gauthier is going to be. And I think Fantilli's playing a third line center role, and that's who he's going to be. Maybe second line. Like, I think I could see Cutter Gauthier panning out to like a Vincent Trocheck, something like that, where you can just rely on him to be good every night and have that offensive pop, but not so much be a superstar in the league.
Interesting. He's been like my guy since he got drafted. Like I thought, like he got drafted. What was it, fifth overall by the Flyers? I believe it was. I think he
Yeah,
was
I don't
like
know.
sneaky the best pick in the draft back then.
Mm-hmm.
The dude's a pure goal scorer. Like
Yeah, I know, but
that translates at every level. No,
I understand, but I feel like so you think he's going to be like Chris Kreider? Like Chris Kreider's a pure goal scorer. As much as we don't want to say it, is that who he's going to be?
there's nothing
Or
wrong
is he
with
going
that.
to be?
Another BC product.
No, I know, but I think like Cutter Gauthier would be better than Chris Chris Kreider. Like
Interesting.
that'd be a good ceiling or a good projection route to be. Maybe a
Yeah, like
35-40 goal
when you
scorer.
put like ceiling and floor projection wise, I think that's a
Okay,
fair ceiling.
I
I think
think
that's fair.
ceiling's a little bit better than Chris. I think ceiling's a legit first line right wing grinder, like Brad Marchand ceiling.
I don't know, Brad. I mean, different size. I know. I get why you'd say Brad Marchand ceiling,
I'm
but
just thinking,
different size, type of players, builds.
I'm just thinking about guys
It's
that just
interesting.
aren't pure goal scorers that can do other things.
Yeah. And I guess the reason I bring up Cutter Gauthier is obviously what happened not too long after World Jays with him getting dealt to the Anaheim Ducks for Jamie Drysdale and a second round pick. What were your thoughts on the trade?
I think it's hilarious, first off, just due to the fact that there was the whole notion around, there was a whole big hockey community on Twitter argument about the Rasmus Dahlin trade for Jamie Drysdale thing going on. And now the fact that Jamie Drysdale gets traded for Cutter Gauthier is just hilarious and tells everyone how far off they were about
Yeah.
that trade. I think it's a great trade for the Flyers, just due to the fact that they're now bringing in something that they didn't have a guy that wants to be there. And like Torts said, like Torts is hilarious, obviously, but they just wanted someone. It's not like they just got a third and a second round pick or a first round pick that they don't know what it's going to be. They got someone that wants to be there, and that's the biggest thing.
Yeah,
I
and they
think
get
he's
an NHL ready player, right? They get a
right.
guy
I
who can
think
come
he's
in and play right away.
right. And with any draft pick, like we've seen, like you have no idea how these guys are going to pan out. Jamie Drysdale is going to be good. So that's the biggest thing. So I think it's a good trade for Philly, Anaheim. I don't know what's going on in their room as much as Philly, but they obviously got some big time problems going on over there. So I don't know what their consensus was to make that deal. Didn't
Oh,
make
I
sense
think
to
they
me.
just no. I mean, I just think for them, you get a young budding prospect to add to your pool of prospects right now. Sure,
Right.
Jamie Drysdale was part of that, but people also forget that Anaheim had the top defenseman in every major junior league last year as a prospect. The guy who won defenseman of the year in the WHL, OHL, and the Q, Anaheim Duck prospects. Like D is probably where they could have given somebody up to get something to add
Right.
up front.
But now they're
So
going
I
to
thought it was.
lose
I kind of
another
think it's a good deal on
prospect.
both sides. I think it's kind of a good deal for both sides though, because I think Anaheim, the window is so far away still, and
Right.
obviously Philly's in that. Philly's definitely ahead. Obviously, what Philly's doing this year is just probably
We can't
a
talk about that.
surprise, a surprise to everybody.
I don't want
But
to get into it.
yeah, we don't need to talk about the Flyers being right behind the Rangers and the Rangers. Just we don't need to talk about that. But
No, we're
maybe
not
later,
getting
maybe
into
later,
that.
maybe later.
The Metropolitan Division is off limits for this podcast,
Okay, I respect it. I respect it.
unless we're talking
But
about the Winter Classic
the Winter
or the
Classic.
Stadium Series. Sorry,
Yeah, it's coming up. Couple weeks. Couple
I
weeks.
will
I'm
see you
excited. You
there.
excited?
Yeah, I'm pumped. I'll text you some details, send the Evite over, but we're gonna have a good tailgate. Got a bunch of people
I'm in.
going,
Yeah, you
so
just tell me when and where to be, and I'll be there.
exactly.
Back to Philly, and
No,
yes, no, Philly and Anaheim,
okay,
Philly and Anaheim,
okay,
Philly and Anaheim. Good deal for both sides, in my opinion, right? Because Anaheim's window is so far away. Now you get a prospect to really add to it. Philly gets a guy who's ready to play now and add to, like you said, something that they didn't really have, a nice offensive type of power play D. So I think a really good deal for both sides. What else
hmm
was kind of interesting and honestly kind of impressive was when Danny Briere thanked all the GMs in the league for keeping it quiet because it's obviously something that's gone on, like been backdoor talk about for a little while now, based on the timeline we've heard.
yeah,
I'm
that was
shocked it didn't leak.
well. So kudos to the GMs. First of all, if I ever got in that group chat that they definitely have,
Yeah,
I would I'd leak everything. But kudos to them, like you said, because that's if he ever came back or just the amount of pressure it would put on him. So the fact that it didn't get leaked is insane, and not get leaked by players. The amount of players that are on podcasts now and social media, like imagine this was the NBA. imagine,
it would have
imagine.
been leaked 6 months ago.
I Josh Hart just tweeted at Mikal Bridges last night because of the. I don't know if you saw the Knicks Nets game. The
No,
Knicks crowd took over Barclays Center and like
I
had
love
a
that.
standing ovation, and Mikal Bridges was freaking out. But back to that, like, yeah, I'm surprised that none of the players, let alone the GMs, even spoke about it. So
Yeah, it's
that's wild.
wild because I mean, you look at the way like deals are done in our league in the NA. I feel like kids know about stuff within like 30 seconds,
Right.
and like there's like zero communication between people. Like I'm not leaking stuff to reporters, but kids know everything in about 30 seconds. So I thought that was a pretty wild like side piece to the whole thing. Is he legit came out and said thank you to all the GMs who were able to keep this quiet for so long. I don't know. I just thought it was wild. So
Mm-hmm.
moving on here a little bit, we got to talk about your boy, dude.
Yeah, let's go. You want me to go put it on the hot dog? Mustard everywhere lately.
The
There's just
Chipotle All American Top Prospects game,
should have been the
and John
Heinz All
Mustard
American.
with
Should have
the
been
game winner in overtime. 3-11 in overtime to lead Team White to a 5-4 victory over Team Blue at the Chipotle All American game. I mean,
it's a it's a
like you
positive and a
said,
negative. Now we
let's
can't do players
yeah,
to watch anymore because everyone's watching him. So the segment doesn't even make sense because he just exploded into this freak. And I'm gonna go self-proclaimed. Actually, there's a couple other people I spoke with. Like, he was the MVP of that game. We don't need to talk about it anymore. Than I just need to address it. But from a non-biased standpoint, what do you think?
I understand why James Higgins was named MVP because
Yeah,
of the name and all that, but I mean, just like based
I
on the
just mean
fact that
like
like the kid scored the game winner too, like, and
right.
I mean
I
everybody
just
knows
mean like what.
James Higgins, right? Like,
Yeah, I just mean what you think of him in general, not so much the MVP thing. What do you think?
oh, him in
Like how he's
general. I
been.
mean, you can't knock what he's done this year, right? He's one of
Right.
the top rookies in the United States Hockey League this year. He comes out in this game and shows out, and I think one of the things that's pretty interesting that I think a lot of people kind of doubt about him sometimes is his ability to skate. But I think a lot of kids at that level can get from point A to point B pretty damn quick. And like, I'm sure I didn't watch all the game. I checked in here and there and like caught the highlights of it. But that kid gets from point A to point B with the best of them. Like, I don't
Mm-hmm.
understand. People, is it the East West skating maybe, right? But like at some point, hockey when it comes down to it's a North South game, right? Like East and West is great, but some teams and have the most success when they just play North South. So I don't know, man. The kid's been impressive. What he's doing with Waterloo is absolutely off the charts as a rookie. Providence has a good one, man. They it's a really good job by them getting in on him nice and young, and now he's just going to develop. I don't know what his timetable is to get to school, but the kid's impressive. Johnny Mustard is just, yeah, Heinz
Feels
mustard all over the place. Let's like get sponsorships and everything for the kid.
yeah. I'm gonna create shirts, off the sheet shirts.
Off the sheet, the first shirt.
The first shirt is
Um,
gonna be a mustard collection.
you know
But
who else was
he's
kind of impressive in the game before we
oh,
get back to mustard is Trevor Connelly. The kid keeps skyrocketing
so good.
up midterm rankings, up central scouting rankings. The kid is absolutely skyrocketing. What he's doing with Tri City is absolutely unbelievable. And again, like, pretty sure Trevor's a Providence kid as well.
Is he?
Like, I'm like 99% sure Trevor's a Providence kid, and what they're doing, if
I
that's the
got you on that.
case,
Yeah,
you
he
got
is.
you got quicker. Like, I mean, come on, Providence. Like, whoever's doing the recruiting up there needs a raise big time.
Go Friars, baby. I'm a big
Arena.
Friars fan now.
I think so. I think we got to invest in it a little bit.
Yeah, my,
But
my
yeah, man, the
girlfriend's
Chipotle All
alumni, so
American game. Is she really?
yes, now I'm fully biased on Providence College. I think I might have to become a fan too.
Yeah, and wear that gray and black. Nice. Good colors, too.
Friars.
Slimming colors, right? So,
Hmm.
no, but man, impressive. Chipotle All American game was a lot of fun on that Sunday out there. It was pretty funny how many guys obviously get taken away from USHL rosters and everything, and seeing some of the line charts and stuff that weekend were hysterical. I saw a line chart. I don't know if I sent it to you. I know I sent it to the guys I work with, Craigie and Bob. I saw a line chart from Youngstown. Didn't have forwards or D on the line chart, just skaters because they
That's
had so many
awesome.
guys. They had so many guys at the All American game. It literally was just skaters. That's all it said. It was one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
Yeah, well, no line charts. I guess we'll go into our next segment. What a way to lead into it. You can't have a line chart for an opposing team if the game gets canceled by the league. So the AJHL decided the Brooks Bandits were going to have a 3-on-3 tournament on Saturday for their season ticket holders and little meet and greet because they're leaving the league and the league was not pleased. So we can go into that on the BCHL, AJHL
Dude, how
merger,
wild is
whatever it
it?
is,
So
whatever
so
it is.
let's explain to the listeners who don't know. Five Alberta Junior Hockey League teams make a bold move to join the BCHL. Reports started coming out last week that, I was hearing on the backside, I was hearing Brooks and Spruce Grove a
Hmm.
little bit. I didn't know it was going to be five teams. I heard possibly three. But in the end, you're going to see the Spruce Grove Saints, Sherwood Park Crusaders, Brook Bandits, Blackfalds Bulldogs, and the Okotoks Oilers are departing the AJHL to join the British Columbia Hockey League for the 24-25 season. So a major shift coming up in Canada after the BCHL seceded itself from
We'll go.
Hockey Canada.
We'll go with it.
So they made their way out of Hockey Canada last year, made a bold move to start, and now they link up with arguably the top 5 teams in the Alberta Junior Hockey League. I saw a stat the other day that said there's 82 Division I commits in the league right now, and 56 of the 82 are on those 5 teams that are departing the league. So major shot at the Alberta League now with what is left out there. But what are your thoughts on the 5 teams going there? I got some thoughts. I got some repercussions that are happening right now. I don't know. I got a few things to say, but what do you got on it?
That's a lot of commitments, and I'm not a math guy, but that's a large percentage.
It's definitely over 50% of their Division I commits. I could do that math pretty quickly.
Yeah, that's all you need. I want to, obviously, I don't think either of us will have the answer. Were these 5 teams? How long have they been communicating this? Was this just a week thing? Hey, we're leaving. All right, we're leaving too. All right, everyone's leaving. That's good. Was it planned for a couple of years? Did the league know about it? Those are the questions, that they probably aren't going to get answered. But obviously, it's pretty crazy. That'd be, 5 of the top NAL teams going to the USHL. If there was only, how many teams are in the AJ? Do you know?
I want to say it was like 16. It was like 8 and 8.
All right, so
But
imagine
now I
3
know.
full divisions.
Yeah.
Right.
Crazy.
So half your leagues or 25% of your league's gone, and 25% of the best players in the league are gone. So yeah, that's going to be wild. It's going to be a lot to deal with. And obviously the league knows that it's a tough bounce because there were repercussions already. Obviously those games getting canceled. But imagine being an age out. Like, I feel for those kids. Like, you're trying to play for a commitment no matter where you're going, and you can't even get on the ice to showcase yourself.
Dude, it was wild. So I saw when we were playing this past weekend, obviously it all went down, and it listed the games like Olds was supposed to play at Spruce Grove or something, and like Okotoks was supposed to be somewhere.
Right.
And then like 2 hours later, I saw a tweet from Spruce Grove that said game time in Okotoks. Like, I think the 5 teams are like just gonna play against each other. Like, I think
Brooks, I agree,
has games this weekend against Okotoks, I believe. Like, it was so funny. I saw like the AJ announced that they canceled the games. Then like an hour or 2 later, I saw Spruce Grove tweet game time in Okotoks tonight. So it's wild what's going on, though. You're right. Like the 20-year-olds. I mean, who knows? Like colleges that were going out there to watch. I know a lot of the Division I schools are in the meat of it right now with their seasons and conference play and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But teams that had stuff scheduled to go out there, now what do? You don't know the schedule, right? Like, what are these 20s going to do on these teams? I got some thoughts on what maybe should happen and could happen, but obviously I'm not at the top of the Hockey Canada government and the USA Hockey governing bodies. I think a move would be, a move right now, I don't know how it works up there exactly, but I don't know what the exact rules were. I think if you I forget what they were. I know there was something put in if you left after December 31st, like you couldn't rejoin a Hockey Canada team. So do 20-year-olds on these AJ teams look to go to the BCHL right now?
And
I know
what's the deadline?
Like, I know the Hockey Canada USA hockey deadline was January 10th. Like, do Hockey Canada and the US and USA Hockey agree on something to waive it for kids on those 5 teams and now let the USHL and let the NA go shopping up there for these kids to play for their next 30 games? Like, there's a lot that could happen. And I don't know, obviously those decisions get made at a much higher pay scale than me. And I'm sure everybody has their opinions on what could or could not happen. But I think when push comes to shove, like, feel for the 20-year-olds without commitments right now, because you're up there playing and it's crazy. Like, even the 20-year-olds on the lesser teams in the league that are still in the Alberta League, like, they probably look forward to a game against Brooks because it's a chance to showcase themselves, right?
Right.
Everybody
the
knows.
People
Everybody
watching
knows
the other team.
Yeah, everybody knows Brooks is the cream of the crop up there. So when a kid from Olds or a kid from Bonnyville or whatever it may be, Cam Rose, Canmore, whatever it is, got a chance to play against Brooks. Like, hey, maybe this is a shot I get to showcase myself because 17 schools are here watching their current players, right? Like, what do those 20-year-olds do now? How do they feel about each other? Now they got to play against each other the rest of the way. And I can't see Division I college going out of their way to get up there just to see what. So it's pretty crazy, man.
Yeah, that's wild. I think I'm gonna start no more players to watch. It's a little tough to find some talent if I'm not watching the game. So I'm gonna do some confirmed transactions while I've been. Now that you said that, a lot of BCHL movement that you said could happen, but there have been
Mm-hmm.
some big USHL to college and college back to the USHL. So I want to highlight some of those. Michael Emerson from North Dakota is now back with the Chicago Steel. Big get for the
About
Chicago
that.
Steel. We got, believe you might know more about this, but the Amarillo Wranglers. Is he going to Lindenwood or is that just a commitment?
That's Connor McDonough committed to Lindenwood today.
Okay.
Good
And then
0-4 goalie with size down in Amarillo.
mm-hmm. And then we had Brian Nicholas, former Michigan commit, recommits to Brown University. So it's good for Brian. Played with his brother.
That's a good
Good
get by
family.
Brown.
Yeah, huge. Obviously, the Ivy League stays in the family. James went to Yale, so that is the huge get. And those were a couple that I saw just looking through here. I don't know what you told me to look
I got a
at, but
question for you.
mm-hmm,
Speaking on that, I got a question for you. If you're the Chicago Steel, what do you do with Michael Emerson?
you keep them
Why?
because you let him. I think he is he. So is it like he's property and he had to go back there, or did he choose to go back
Well,
to Chicago? Like, could he have
I'm
gone
sure
to
they
any
kept
team?
him. I'm sure they kept him protected.
Okay. Um, I don't know. Maybe help the younger guys develop. Trade some better assets that might have more value potentially. Right? You can't really. What are you going to trade him for? Just a playoff run, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, like if I'm any of the top 3 teams in any of the divisions, top 4 teams in the divisions, like I'm all over. I'm all over a kid like that.
Correct. Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. But then again, it's like how much is he going to help, right? What's your outlook as a franchise and the rest of the year? Like, how many games do you want to win? Do you completely want to rebuild? I guess that's just an in front office conversation.
Yeah, I was just wondering your thoughts on it. Right? I think it's interesting because I mean, he's a heck of a player, right? I mean,
Hmm.
kid should definitely probably still be in college. When he's played in 2 games since he got back, he's got 2 points. I don't know what his deal is. He going back to North Dakota? Is it just
I
like
have I have no idea.
so? I think I mean if you're Chicago, I don't see why you don't try to move the kid
Yeah.
because you
I-
can get an absolute haul back for him. I don't know. I'm just putting my GM hat on. Not that I'm a
Yeah, I
GM
just
or
don't.
anything, but
I just don't know if you can get an
GM
absolute
hat on
haul.
and off.
But I was
Really?
looking at some transactions and some sparked my interest, so I kind of like that segment. I'm gonna write that down in my notepad after this.
A transaction segment by Nucc. Transactions coming to you from Nucc.
Yeah, I like.
I'm in on
Oh, another transaction,
that.
crazy transaction. Corey Perry. That's a big
Yeah.
transaction.
What are your thoughts on that? Good signing, bad signing?
Um, Positively, great signing. Gonna bring a lot to the locker room. A lot of playoff experience. They're obviously going for a cup run again. The negative is why fix what's not broken, right? They're a couple games away from setting the NHL record for most wins in a row. I mean, just personally for Corey Perry, kudos to him getting some help and obviously figuring all that out. Says he's doing way
Yeah.
better. So if the
I'm not
act's
going to
cleaned up,
speculate on it for sure.
right? If the act's cleaned up and everything, then why not have him in your locker room? There's no negative to that, especially a cap crunch team like the Edmonton Oilers. To add a
Mm-hmm.
guy like that, and one injury away from calling up an AHL guy, where now you have Corey Perry sitting there. But that net front team, I would hate to be a defenseman in practice with those guys. Corey
What with
Perry
like
and
Corey
Zach
Perry
Hyman,
and like Evander
get me,
Kane, all those
and
guys?
Zach Hyman, get me off the ice. Oh, I got to battle net front, then go get my gap for Connor to come down on me. Not a
And
fun
just
team
blow
to
right
play
by me.
against.
Yeah, no shot. And I mean,
No.
obviously, what they're doing is just ridiculous right now.
Yeah, I just don't understand how, like, I get it analytically, like, they were doing all the right things and now the pucks are going in the net, but that's like a
Yeah,
huge, like, people were talking about them not making the playoffs, and now,
people were talking
obvious,
about them being one of the worst teams in the league this year, and now
they're
they're
just,
14 straight wins, and they're 7 points out of second place. Obviously, what Vancouver's doing, they still got a long way to go to catch Vancouver, but they got
yeah.
4 games in hand on Vancouver. So if they could win the next 4, right, you're looking at 5 points behind Vancouver if they can win their next 4. If they can win the 4 games in hand, so it's impressive the climb they've made. I mean, any team wins 14 games in a row, you're going to climb pretty quickly, but they're impressive, man.
Hmm.
We're coming up though. NHL trade deadline coming up pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Who makes a move? Who doesn't make a move? I wonder what the New York Islanders do now after the splash they just made.
I don't, I'll never understand that hockey team. No matter who the coach is or what the roster, I just can't understand. They're always just so mid.
Even with Patrick Waugh behind the bench.
They're just so mid. They're never bad and they're never excellent. They're so mid. And I can't figure it out. Like, even the players they bring in turn mid.
Well,
Like,
you
if
don't
you
think
had,
Bo Horvat's very good anymore?
no, he's mid. He really is. Here's a great example. There's 5 or 6 players in the NHL right now that make an 8.5 AAV salary. It's like, I don't know if you saw this. It's like Bo
No.
Horvat, Mika Zibanejad, um, Leon Drysdale, and I forget the other 2 or 3. But compared to all of them, oh, Philip Forsberg's one of them. Like, compared to those guys, he's mid. So that's what
Compared
I
to
mean.
those
Like,
guys, he's mid.
I don't know. I just can't figure the Islanders out. I think they're going to make a splash, but like, what is their splash? There's only so
I
many
don't
guys
know.
that can play for the Islanders. There really
I gotta
is.
tell
Like,
you though, I thought it was pretty crazy that that's the way Lou went with just such a polarizing figure like that. Like that was pretty crazy. From
yeah, I
what
guess
not to say like Barry Trotz wasn't a polarizing figure, it was just he was polarizing in a different way, right? Like
right.
that's wild to me.
I guess he wanted him for a while.
Yeah, he's had to have had his eye on him for how long now, right?
Yeah, he said that. It's just been like, then obviously he got that. So
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do. I mean, there's a lot of teams bunched around that second wild card right now. Like even the Leafs, right? Like holding on to that first wild card spot right now, but they're only 3 points up on the Devils and the Islanders right now, who sit just outside of it. Could you imagine
right,
if the Toronto Maple Leafs don't make the playoffs?
that'd be insane. 2 things that I got for you. First thing is going to be hockey related, but I gotta find the text message to read it to you first. The second
Mm-hmm.
thing, breaking podcast news.
Breaking podcast
The
news. This is
Los
news to me
Angeles
too.
Chargers have signed Jim Harbaugh as their new head coach.
Wow.
That's pretty big news.
Wow.
What do
I
you think
respect it
about
though.
that?
I respect it. He did everything he needed to do in college. It's done. He built it up. He won a national championship. What they go 15-0 this year? Like what else is there to do? Go
Yeah, I
coach the
guess
LA
so.
Chargers for the next little while. Go live in Newport Beach. Go live in like Manhattan Beach. Like what? Like just move on. Like go chill the rest of your life. Like he's done. He's done everything besides win a Super Bowl as a coach, right? So like, is LA the perfect spot for that? I don't know. Not right now,
Hmm.
but you can't deny what he did with the Niners and built them up. Obviously, what he did at Michigan built them up. And now let's go see if he could do it at LA, I guess, or I like to
Yeah,
still call him San Diego.
they got some pieces.
They're a little
So
older on the defensive side, though. Like they might have to start rebuilding that defensive side a little bit. I know they
that's
got
okay.
Joey Bosa still a little young, probably the piece to build around. But like Khalil Mack, a little older. I mean, obviously up front on the offensive side, you'd start to build around Justin Herbert a little bit. Probably try to get him some better weapons.
Hmm.
But wow, Jim Harbaugh, how about that?
Yeah. All right. Ready for this one? This one's
Yeah, what do we
hilarious.
got?
Fun fact of the day. The Montreal Canadiens, Ottawa Senators, Columbus Blue Jackets, Minnesota Wild, Chicago Blackhawks, and then the two California teams, the Anaheim Ducks and the San Jose Sharks. Besides being the worst teams in the league, do you know what they all have in common?
Besides being the worst teams in the league, that's hysterical. No, I don't have any idea what they have in common.
They're the only teams in the National Hockey League that have less regulation wins than the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Oh my god.
And that the amount of overtime games these guys have gone into has got to be a stat. No, they've got to be close to breaking a record.
That's crazy. Toronto's only got 15 regulation wins.
It's wild.
That's awful.
Yeah, you're stunned right now. I like it.
Yeah, like pulling up oh my god. And they're in the playoffs right now. How's that possible?
I don't know. I can't, that's another team I can't figure out, man.
Yeah, I mean they're just like the Islanders. Like you look at their win loss, right? They're 23, 14 and 8. So they're basically 23 and 22. Right? The Islanders are 20, 16 and 11. Like so you're telling me they're 20 and 27 basically. Right? Like I get it. The OTs you get a point and all that stuff, so that's why, but like you lost 27 games. So I mean, yeah, Toronto's basically a 500 hockey team, but it says they have a 600 win percentage. Wow, Toronto Maple Leafs mid with 4 of the worst contracts in the NHL.
They
I don't know
thank
how you're going
God
to build that team anymore, man. I know
you're
their
not.
goaltending's been a little bit of an issue,
Because you
but
can't have a goalie.
no, you really can't. I mean, the Devils are going through right now. Like you got to pay if you're going to pay all these guys up front. Like you got to take a shot somewhere else with less money, and they're both kind of paying for it. I mean, geez, I didn't even realize that. Holy hell.
I know you're a goalie guy, but I'm borderline fully out on all NHL goalies.
There's
I
only like
think they
5 good ones.
I think they all stink.
There's 5 good ones.
I think they all stink, even those 5.
Even the Demko, Saros, Shesterkin, Sorokin, Hellebuck
Igor's
of the world.
Igor's struggling. Like, uh,
I mean, I think the top 3 in the NHL right now are probably Hellebuck, Ottinger, and Demko. What do they all have in common?
on the best teams in the NHL.
They're also all American.
Nice. That's gonna be
American,
it's gonna be a really
American
tough world
goaltending.
championship. Who's starting in net decision? One plays every period.
American goaltending is at the pinnacle right now. They're dominating everybody else in the goaltending market. Right? Like even the 3 Russian guys, Sorokin, Shesterkin, and Vasilevsky, kind of up and down a little bit right now. The U.S. has their goaltending figured out right now. Those are probably your 3 best goalies in the league right now. I don't even have the stats up. Like they have to be your top 3 goalies in the league.
I'm so done with stats too. I'm the furthest thing from a stats guy.
When did that happen?
Because I've been I've been seeing stats that just make my head spin. Like Nathan McKinnon has the most calendar points in the NHL since January 1st, 2023. And people are like, oh, he's just as good as McDavid. You know, JT Miller has the same amount of calendar points as Artemi Panarin. Like, come on, let's get realistic.
JT Miller's not the same player.
JT
But that's
Miller's,
a ridiculous stat, though. Calendar point, like that's a ridiculous stat. That's like a
but
made up
people
stat.
do it. They were talking about it on Chicklets.
Yeah, that's a made up stat. They shouldn't be talking about that. But yeah, I mean, the U.S. has their goaltending figured out. I can say that much for you.
That's sick. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Good
they
for
got it
them.
all figured out right now.
I mean, I knew that, but I didn't put it together when you said it.
Yeah, they're legit. I mean, you got Swayman, another American.
Yeah, he's so
Right
much
up there,
better than
yeah.
Olmark, man. Just if I'm the Bruins, just what are we doing? That guy's such a fraudulent human being. It's insane.
He won the Vezina last year. What are you talking about?
He's such a fraudulent goalie.
Yeah, I agree with that. But the U.S., if you need a goalie, go look in the United States of America because they got it figured out right now. So good goalie coaches everywhere, I guess.
All right. I got one last thing for you that we're gonna end the podcast on, but I got to share with the listeners and subscribers and followers. First of all, I'll give a little promo since I guess now we're boys, but Heat Daddy on Twitter, PG-13, probably rated R Twitter account for the kids listening out there. Don't check it out.
Can we stop for a second? Can we stop for 2 seconds? You say
Yeah.
your boys?
Well, I'm gonna tell you. Hold on. Heat Daddy and his boy Jay Swish are doing their hockey night in Arizona, whatever it's called, for the Vegas New York Rangers game this upcoming Friday night. And he's sitting in my mom's season tickets for the game. So there's a pregame party at the Canuck. They'll be heading over to Madison Square Garden, sitting in section and seats that I know about very, very well, and then Canuck after party. So we can't really get into how it happened and that such, but
What?
we're boys.
Wow.
Mutual
I'm a
friends. Mutual friends needed to help him get tickets. Knew me. Blah blah blah. Got him
You made
tickets
it
all
happen.
set up. We made it happen.
So you're going out Friday night?
No, I'm in Dallas this weekend. Fly out Friday morning. We got the
Oh,
Frosty Cup
Frosty Cup
USHL
does this weekend?
showcase.
That's
But
good.
it's probably a good thing. Tyler really wants to go out in the city this weekend, Nucc to coach Frosty Cup.
The internal battle that you must have.
Yeah.
Well, all good stuff, man. Hopefully the listeners enjoyed it. Extended holiday break. Got into some hockey talk here. Just wanted to wet the whistle a little bit as, we get back into 2024. We'll start bringing some guests back on, start talking some college hockey. Speaking of guests, Augustana opens up Midco Arena coming up here, brand new facility. So congratulations to Ryan Domofsky and the Augustana hockey team out there opening up a new arena, but hopefully everybody enjoyed it. We'll be back on it here quite shortly with some guests and everything. And until next time, we'll see you later.
Cheers.